Ah! My mother's gut-wrenching scream echoed through the room, plunging her into absolute terror. A pot of homemade chicken noodle soup, boiling on the stove, had been deliberately tipped over onto my mother, Linda, by my mother-in-law, Martha. The acrid smell of burning skin filled the air, and white smoke rose from my mother's arm, which was blistering before my eyes. Instead of helping her up, Martha contemptuously dusted off her hands. "Serves you right, you country bumpkin. Your clumsy hands have dirtied my $10,000 designer sofa. You'd better clean it thoroughly if you know what's good for you." David stood nearby, his arms still wrapped around the waist of his young mistress, as indifferent as a stranger. "Calm down, honey. My mother did it by accident. Just tell your old lady to wash up, that's all. No big deal." I watched my mother writhe in pain, while they laughed with endless cruelty. Blood boiled in my veins. I grabbed a glass of red wine and splashed it directly into Martha's face. I enunciated each icy word, silencing the room. "Shut up and open your eyes to see who hurt my mother today. I will make your entire family pay 10 times over for this. This house is mine, and now the court is mine." Today was a beautiful Sunday. The golden sun bathed the streets of magnificent New York City from the balcony of my 35th floor penthouse in the heart of Central Park South. I squinted to make out the stream of tiny, ant-like taxis and limousines moving slowly below. A fresh breeze played with my hair and caressed my skin, but strangely, I felt no peace. Within me, subterranean and furious waves raged, foreshadowing a great storm ready to break and sweep away everything I had tried to preserve and build over the past 5 years. My name is Sarah. I am 32 years old. In the eyes of others, I appear as an accomplished woman. I have a brilliant career as CFO at a prestigious international corporation with a high 6-figure salary. I possess the mature beauty of a woman who has tasted all the pleasures of life. And what's more important, in the eyes of the world, I have a happy family with an attractive and gallant husband and an elegant, refined mother-in-law. But only the one who sleeps in the bed knows if the sheets are prickly. This shining facade is nothing more than a clumsy layer of paint hiding long rotted wood. This penthouse, spanning over 3,000 square feet and valued at $15 million, is the fruit of my sweat. My tears, endless sleepless nights spent poring over dry figures, business dinners that turned my stomach. It was my life's dream. A place where I wanted to bring my own mother to care for her in her old age. Yet, what an irony. In the eyes of my husband's family, I am nothing more than a lucky upstart. Or, what's worse, a money-making machine. Early this morning, the atmosphere in the house was unusually lively. Martha, my mother-in-law, had woken up at 5 a.m. to supervise the housekeeper in decorating the house. She wore a Bordeaux silk dress, a thumb-sized pearl necklace, her hair styled in an elegant bun, and she strutted around the house like an all-powerful grand dame. "Hey, that vase is crooked. Move it a little to the left, and this rug, vacuum it thoroughly. If my VIP guests come and see even a speck of dust, I'll deduct it from your salary." Her piercing voice echoed through the enormous house. David, my husband, still half asleep and dressed in silk pajamas, held a cup of coffee, leaning against the window, yawning, while Vanessa, my 25-year-old sister-in-law, sprawled on the sofa, engrossed in her phone and humming a trendy song. As soon as I emerged from my room, Martha cast a sidelong glance at me with a mocking tone. "Look at this daughter-in-law, sleeping, until such hours. Today is an important day. Didn't it occur to you to wake up early to organize the food and clean the house? Or because you earn a few peanuts, do you think you can freeload off your mother-in-law?" I suppressed a sigh and calmly replied, "Mom, I've already hired a catering company and a team of professional waiters. Everything is organized. You just relax and get ready. Besides, last night I had to urgently resolve an issue with a contract from overseas, and I only went to bed at 3 a.m. Please understand." Martha snorted loudly. "Work is always work. A decent woman dedicates herself to her home. Earning money is a man's business. Look at my David, director of his own company. Lives like a king. He doesn't need to kill himself working like you. Clearly, you were born to suffer." I smiled bitterly, not wanting to argue. David's company. If it weren't for my capital injections, if it weren't for me pulling strings behind the scenes, That fly-by-night firm would have long ago gone bankrupt. But I remained silent to protect my husband's image. At that moment, the doorbell rang. I looked at the clock, only 6:30 a.m. Who could come so early? Suddenly, my heart skipped a beat as I remembered something. Mom, it must be my mother. I rushed to open the door. Indeed, standing before the impressive solid wood door was the small, thin figure of my mother. She wore a simple blouse and skirt, faded brown. A headscarf covered her hair, and on her feet were old rubber sandals. Next to her were 2 large tote bags filled with homemade goodies. There were homemade jams, artisanal cheese, and, most importantly, a couple of live chickens clucking loudly. Seeing me, my mother's eyes shone, and a kind smile revealed deep crow's feet at the corners of her eyes. Sarah, daughter, I'm here. I caught the first bus. I didn't want to be late or disturb. I brought you a dozen good homemade chickens and some cheese and butter from home so the housewarming brings good luck. The sight of my sweating mother, her face weathered and darkened by the sun and wind, brought tears to my eyes. I rushed to hug her, inhaling the familiar scent of earth and home cooking. Mom, why did you bring so much? It's heavy. I told you to come light. Everything is here. My mother gently stroked my hair, smiling. This is homemade, daughter. So you eat healthy food. City food is full of chemicals. I don't trust it. Come on, let me in. I'm tired of standing. Before I could lead her inside, a sharp and caustic voice, like a bucket of cold water, rang out from behind. My God, what is that horrible smell? Sarah, what trash have you brought into the house? Vanessa emerged from inside, pinching her nose with a grimace of disgust. Martha followed her. Her meticulously made-up face expressed absolute revulsion. She surveyed my mother from head to toe, as if she were a creature from another planet, and contemptuously curled her lips. So, this is you, my in-law? Oh, how dreadful. You come to the capital, to the most luxurious house in all of New York, dressed as if you're going to plow a field, and you've dragged in these smelly chickens that will dirty everything. Are you going to turn my son's $15 million penthouse into a chicken coop? My mother flinched at these words. Her rough, trembling hands gripped the handles of her bags tightly. She lowered her head and murmured, I'm sorry. In-law, I'm from a small town. I didn't know. I'll take them somewhere right away. My face burned. Anger rose in my throat. I turned and glared at Vanessa and Martha. Mom, Vanessa, what are you saying? This is my mother, an in-law in this house. She brought gifts from the countryside with all her heart. How dare you insult her like that? Martha looked at me defiantly and replied in a commanding voice. Insult her? Did I say anything untrue? Look at the Italian marble floor. I just paid $300 for its polishing. And now she comes with her dirty sandals. What will this house turn into? And that chicken smell will seep into the curtains and sofas. How will we get it out? My guests, people from high society, will arrive soon. What face will I have when they smell that? David also came out at that moment with his coffee in hand and said indifferently, Oh, come on, darling. My mother is right. Your mother arrived very loaded down and dirty. It's inconvenient for her to enter through the main door. If the concierge sees her, he'll think she's a junk collector, and we'll have problems. Why don't you take her through the service entrance, through the freight elevator that staff use for deliveries? It's cleaner and more discreet. I froze, staring at the person I called my husband. What was he saying? To make my mother enter through the back door, through the freight elevator. David, what are you saying? This is my mother. How dare you tell her to enter through the service entrance? David shrugged innocently. I just want to protect the family's image. You know today's guests are all important partners, people from high society. What will they think if they see such a shabby scene? Where will my reputation be? My mother, seeing me argue with my husband, and fearing that we would have problems, quickly intervened. Daughter, don't argue. Your husband is right. I'm a countrywoman with dirty feet. If I enter through the main door, I'll dirty your house. It's okay if I go through the back. An entrance is an entrance. As long as I can enter the house, everything is fine. The sight of my mother forcing a smile and swallowing tears to appease my husband's family broke my heart. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash everything, but reason told me to stay calm. Today was the housewarming party. I couldn't let everything collapse right now. I needed time, an opportunity to rip the masks off these hypocrites once and for all. I bit my lip until it bled and nodded. Okay, Mom, follow me. I hoisted the 2 heavy bags onto myself and led my mother to the back of the building, where the old freight elevator, used for trash and deliveries, was located. Inside the elevator, cramped and smelling strongly of dampness, my mother continued to squeeze my hand, whispering, "Don't get angry with your husband, daughter. He's a man. He needs to save face. It doesn't matter if I sacrifice a little." Her words made tears stream from my eyes and roll down my cheeks. Mom, why are you so kind and submissive? Don't you understand that your submissiveness only makes them bolder, that it hurts me even more? When we got upstairs and entered through the kitchen door, Martha was already waiting for us. She pointed to a mountain of unpeeled vegetables on the countertop and ordered, "Well, Linda, wash your hands and feet thoroughly and go help Vanessa. Today, I ordered a catered buffet, but I also want a few traditional dishes for the older guests. You, being from the countryside, are surely an expert in cooking. Clean these chickens, cut the beef, wash the vegetables and fruits, and hurry up. Guests will arrive at 11. My mother, without even a sip of water, rolled up her sleeves and nodded several times. Yes, don't worry, in-law. I'll do everything. Everything will be ready in a minute." So, all morning, while Martha and Vanessa comfortably settled on the leather sofa, watched TV, and ate grapes, laughing loudly, my mother toiled in the kitchen. She squatted on the cold floor. Her wrinkled hands were immersed in a basin of icy water, moving from plucking chickens to washing vegetables, sweat soaking her blouse and running down her forehead. I wanted to go in to help her, but Martha called me. "Sarah, where are you? Go iron David's suit. What kind of woman are you, letting your husband go around in wrinkled clothes? Sarah, make me orange juice with a little sugar and a lot of ice." "Faster, I'm dying of thirst," Vanessa screamed. They commanded me as if I were a servant, running back and forth until I was dizzy. Every time I tried to return to the kitchen to help my mother, they invented some meaningless task to delay me. It was obvious they were doing it on purpose, to torment us, to assert their position as mistresses of the house. Around 10 a.m., Vanessa pulled out her latest smartphone and started a live stream on her social media. She had applied bright makeup. She wore a very short dress, exposing most of her back, and posed in front of the camera with a sickly sweet voice. "Hi, my darlings. Welcome to a chaos tour of my family's super luxurious house. Today is the housewarming party. I'm super happy. Please send me lots of hearts." She swept her phone across the entire house, filming close-ups of every detail of the decor, every expensive piece of furniture that I myself had paid for, but which she shamelessly declared to be her family's property. "Look at this, guys. This Swarovski crystal chandelier was brought by my brother from Europe. It costs as much as a small apartment. To die for, right? And this imported solid walnut dining table? My mom loved it so much, and my brother David bought it for her immediately. My brother is the best in the world, handsome, smart, and a wonderful son." My ears rang, and I felt nauseous. David, he didn't have a dime. His meager salary wasn't enough even to support his mistresses. And on top of that, he had debts to loan sharks. Everything from a toothpick to the refrigerator was my sweat and tears. But I remained silent, telling myself, "Let them play. We'll see how long the show lasts." During the broadcast, Vanessa suddenly pointed the camera at the kitchen, where my mother was squatting on the floor, washing dishes. She laughed mischievously with a mocking and malicious tone. "Ah, and I introduced to you our new housemaid, whom we hired. She's from the countryside, a bit simple, but very hardworking and obedient, honestly. Look, it's very hard to find someone who knows how to do their job well these days. We had to conduct 3 interviews with her before hiring her." My mother, who was washing dishes, looked up in fright, not understanding what was happening. Vanessa continued to zoom the camera onto her face, laughing loudly. "Madam, smile for the camera. Come on, guys, send hearts to my housemaid. She's old, but strong as an oak, works non-stop from morning till night and doesn't get tired. blood rushed to my head. I felt an electric current run down my spine, destroying the last remnant of patience I had left. I couldn't bear it anymore. I snatched the phone from Vanessa's hands and abruptly interrupted the live broadcast, which thousands of people were watching. "What the hell are you doing, Vanessa? Who gave you permission to film my mother? What housemaid is she to you?" Vanessa, surprised by my reaction, started screaming like crazy. "Hey, are you crazy? I was live, interacting with my fans. I was trending. What are you doing? Give me back my phone. You're jealous because I'm more popular than you." Martha, who was in the living room, heard the noise and rushed over, hands on her hips and eyes bulging. "What's this scandal? Today is a celebration. You'll ruin it. Sarah, what did you do to your sister-in-law?" I turned to Martha with bloodshot eyes. My voice trembled with fury. "Ask your precious daughter. She dared to call my mother a housemaid, live in front of the whole world. My mother is a guest. She's an in-law. How dare you despise and humiliate her like that? Do you have an ounce of conscience left? An ounce of humanity?" Martha frowned and smiled contemptuously with icy indifference. Well, I thought it was something serious. Vanessa was just joking to get likes and views. You don't need to get so angry. Besides, look at your mother, dressed in those rags, with cracked hands, washing on the floor. It's normal for people to think she's a servant. I don't see what the insult is here. David also entered at that moment, and seeing the tension, frowned and reproached me with a superior air. "Sarah, you're really making a mountain out of a molehill. Vanessa is young. She speaks without thinking. Don't take it to heart. Besides, your mother is doing chores. She's not sitting idle. You're older. You should be more understanding and tolerant. You're always on the defensive, which is why the atmosphere in this house is always so heavy." "You shut up!" I screamed. The sound, loud and authoritative, made all three of them step back in fright. For the first time in 5 years of marriage, I dared to raise my voice, to point at my husband. My mother helps because she loves us, because she wants to contribute to this home, not because she is your servant. You have hands and feet. You are young and strong. Why do you do nothing and make a 60-year-old woman serve you?" Silence fell in the kitchen. The only sound was the dripping faucet, which my mother had forgotten to close. Martha, Vanessa, and David looked at me as if I were a stranger. Until now, I had always been a submissive and obedient wife, always compliant. I had never dared to object. Perhaps my sudden and energetic resistance shocked them, and they didn't know how to react. But this silence lasted only a few seconds. Martha quickly regained her authoritative demeanor, glared at me, and shouted, "Aha! Very good. Now, because you earn a few peanuts, you're going to ride on my neck and my son's neck. I'll tell you clearly. A wife follows her husband. Since you stepped foot in this house, you must follow our rules. Your mother is a country bumpkin. The opportunity to enter this luxurious penthouse is a blessing for her. Don't demand equality here. There is a hierarchy. The master is the master, and the servant is the servant. If you continue this insolence, I will throw both of you out." My mother, seeing such a tense situation, and fearing that my husband's family would hate me or hurt me, quickly wiped her hands on her apron and ran to grab my hand, pleading in a trembling voice, "Daughter, please, I beg you. I'm okay, truly. I can do it. Don't argue with your mother-in-law. They'll accuse you of being rude. I'm happy, really. The opportunity to cook for you makes me happy. Give in a little, daughter. Better a thin peace than a good quarrel." The sight of my mother, so submissive, humiliating herself before people who were worth nothing, made my tears flow hot and salty. The more I loved my mother, the more I hated this family. They didn't treat her as a human being. They trampled her dignity and her love just to satisfy their nouveau riche snobbery, their ridiculous and empty vanity. I squeezed my mother's hand, feeling the roughness of her skin, and silently swore, "Mom, forgive me for letting you suffer. But believe me, today, right here, I will give you everything you deserve. I will show them how dearly contempt is paid." Just at that moment, the doorbell rang insistently again. Guests began to arrive. Martha's expression instantly changed, transforming from a harpy's face to a radiant smile. She ran to open the door, leaving me and my mother alone in the cold kitchen. Guests, elegantly dressed, perfumed, and with expensive gifts in their hands, entered one after another. Laughter and congratulations filled the atmosphere. Martha, in the middle of the living room, raised a glass of wine, proudly boasting about the house and her son's talent, completely ignoring the existence of her daughter-in-law and the elderly mother who was hiding in the kitchen. Leaning against the kitchen doorframe, I watched this farce of a happy family with nausea. David socialized with some business friends, laughing and boasting about fictitious projects and wealth he hadn't earned. They enjoyed their moment of glory at my expense, unaware that it was just the lull before the storm. I took a deep breath, wiped a tear, and adjusted my dress. My gaze became colder and more resolute than ever. The best part of the drama was yet to come, and the real protagonist was about to appear to turn the tables. A figure was approaching the front door, bringing with her the destruction of this fragile facade of happiness. It was Chloe, my husband's brazen mistress. The heavy wooden door slowly opened, letting in a gust of sweet Chanel No. 5 perfume. The living room, until then bustling, fell silent for a moment. All eyes were fixed on the newcomer. She was a young woman, about 24 to 25 years old. She wore a striking red evening gown with a thigh-high slit, showcasing her long, white legs and voluptuous figure. Her wavy, voluminous hair and bold makeup gave her a seductive yet daring look. But what caught my attention was not her beauty or her expensive dress, but what sparkled around her neck. A platinum necklace with a tear-shaped ruby, which rested provocatively on her fair skin. My heart skipped a beat. It was unmistakable. It was the gift for our 3rd wedding anniversary, which I had bought with a project bonus. It had mysteriously disappeared a month ago. I had searched the entire house. I had asked the former housekeeper. I had even blamed myself for my absent-mindedness. It turned out it wasn't lost. My husband or my mother-in-law had stolen it to hang it around another woman's neck with complete brazenness. Martha, seeing the girl, beamed. She put down her glass of wine and ran to meet her with open arms and a honeyed voice. "Chloe, my dear, you're finally here. We were waiting for you. Why so late?" David and I couldn't take our eyes off the door. Chloe approached, hugged Martha, pecked her cheek, and said in a petulant voice, "Sorry, Aunt Martha, traffic was terrible, and I had to stop at the spa for a facial. I wanted to look dazzling for you and for everyone." David, who was nearby, kept his eyes on Chloe's cleavage. He adjusted his tie and quickly approached with a concerned tone, vastly different from the one he used with me. "The important thing is that you came. It's okay to be a little late. Are you tired from your trip? Go. Sit down and rest." Saying this, David put his arm around her waist and led her to the main sofa, the place of honor. His behavior was so natural and intimate that guests began to whisper. I remained paralyzed, feeling like an outsider, an invisible ghost in my own home. My mother, standing behind me, tugged at my sleeve and whispered worriedly, "Sarah, who is that girl? Why is she so tender with your husband?" I turned to her, suppressing the pain, and forced a smile to reassure her. "Ah, that's Martha's adopted daughter. Mom, don't pay attention." "Adopted daughter," my mother murmured skeptically. Though she was from a small town, her 60 years of life had taught her to see beyond appearances. What adopted sister dresses like that and snuggles with her brother in front of everyone? I took a deep breath to calm myself and walked to the table. I wanted to see how far their charade would go. Martha, seeing me, addressed the guests in a loud and proud voice. "I introduce to you Chloe, my adopted daughter. She just returned from studying overseas. She is smart, beautiful, and very capable. I love her like my own daughter. I always want the best for her." Chloe stood up, greeted everyone with a mannered gesture and a flirtatious look. "Hi everyone, I'm Chloe. I'm very happy that Mama Martha and David invited me to the party. I hope we get along." Some men began to whistle and joke. "How lucky you are, David, with such an adopted sister. Introduce me to her." David laughed and waved his hand. "Easy there, champ. Don't even think about it. This flower already has an owner. I mean, it doesn't have an owner, but she's very demanding." His slip of the tongue about the flower having an owner made me smile internally. He was marking his territory in front of his legal wife. Martha turned to me with a sharp look. "Sarah, why are you standing there? Go to the kitchen and get Chloe orange juice. She doesn't drink alcohol. It should be natural juice without sugar and with a little ice. And strain it well, so she doesn't choke on a seed." I looked at her, and then at Chloe, who was watching me with a defiant smile. Blood boiled in me. I was the mistress of the house, the legal wife, and I was supposed to serve my husband's mistress. But before I could react, my mother intervened. Leave it, I'll get it now. Sarah is busy with guests. I'll do it." And she ran to the kitchen. The sight of her hunched back pained me deeply. I wanted to stop her, but instinct told me to endure a little longer. I needed more evidence. I needed these people to reveal their true, despicable faces. I approached and sat in an armchair opposite them. Chloe looked at me and smirked. "Sarah, today you're barely wearing makeup. You must be very busy, right? We women need to take care of ourselves, because if we let ourselves go because of work, our husbands get bored, and he looks for someone else." Vanessa next to her added, "Chloe's right. My sister-in-law only thinks about work and money. She's dry as a stick. No wonder my brother complains. They've been married for 5 years, and she's still flat as a board. Not a hint of a child. Maybe she's infertile?" A group of Vanessa's friends and some guests laughed. Their mockery and glances pierced me like needles. The topic of children was my greatest pain. For 5 years, I had tried everything without success. David and his mother always blamed me. They said I was too obsessed with money, that I was a barren tree. I gripped the armrests of the armchair, trying to remain calm. Children are a gift from above. They come when they are meant to come. And to have a child, it takes two. I can't do it alone. I emphasized the words "takes two." Looking at David, he felt touched and looked away, coughing. The truth was that 2 years ago, I secretly had fertility tests, and the doctor told me I was absolutely normal. The problem was elsewhere. But to protect his male pride, I had kept the secret and accepted the blame all this time. Hearing my words, Martha slammed the table and shouted, "You still dare to talk back? A woman who cannot bear children is a disgrace. Look at Chloe. What a healthy body she has. It's clear she's fertile and will bring luck and many children. Not like you, Boney." Chloe blushed, lowered her head, and instinctively stroked her stomach. A minimal gesture, but it did not escape me. Martha, seeing this, smiled from ear to ear and whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Soon, very soon, this house will receive a great blessing. Soon I will have a grandchild in my arms, and then some people will have to clear out." My heart went cold. My suspicions were confirmed. She was pregnant, and the child was 99% likely my husband's. They had been meeting behind my back, and even had the fruit of their love. All this time, they had been living on my money, bleeding me dry day by day. Just at that moment, my mother came out with a tray of orange juices. The floor was slippery, and on her trembling, tired legs, she stumbled, spilling some juice on the tray. "My God, what are you doing? Do you want to drench my daughter with juice? How clumsy, probably old age," Martha screamed. My mother, frightened, placed the tray on the table and apologized several times. I'm sorry. The floor was slippery. I couldn't hold it." Chloe wrinkled her nose at the spilled juice and said contemptuously, "Don't worry, Mom. I don't want to drink anymore. Looking at this lady's dirty hands, I'm afraid I'll get sick. Lately, my stomach is sensitive. I need to be careful with what I eat." David rushed to comfort Chloe. "It's okay, darling. I'll tell someone to bring you a smoothie from a 5-star restaurant. Order whatever you want." The sight of my husband despising my mother and treating his mistress like a queen pushed my patience to its breaking point. "Please, proceed to the dining room. The food is ready," I said, interrupting their drama. I needed to take them to the dining room, where I had prepared a very special banquet for them. Everyone headed to the dining room. The long walnut table for 12 was elegantly set with candles, flowers, and exquisite dishes. David rushed to take the place of honor at the head of the table, but instead of inviting me, his wife, to sit next to him, he offered Chloe the seat to his right. "Sit here, next to me. It'll be easier for me to serve you." Martha sat to David's left, and Vanessa next to her. They occupied the central seats. I was left standing, looking at the only empty seat at the end of the table, meant for late guests or extras. Martha looked at me and indicated the end of the table with her chin. "Sarah, sit down there, next to the kitchen. That way it'll be easier for you to come and go to serve and direct the staff. And let your mother sit with you. That way you'll be together and can chat," whispers began. Well, look at that. The legal wife banished to the back row, while she looks like the lady of the house. She's wearing jewelry more expensive than the wife herself. Silently, I pulled a chair for my mother to sit at the end of the table. She squeezed my hand under the table, cold and sweaty. She was afraid for me. "Mom, sit here. Tonight, you'll see a good show," I whispered in her ear. Dinner began, wine-filled glasses, and the clinking of cutlery resonated through the room. Conversation revolved around compliments to Chloe and David's family. Chloe, what a talent. Just back and already head of marketing. David's family is lucky to have such a daughter-in-law. Adopted daughter. So beautiful and smart. Martha smiled contentedly, serving food to Chloe. "Eat, daughter, eat a lot, to be strong. This lobster bisque is very nutritious." Chloe shyly thanked her, then turned to David with a petulant voice. "Sweetheart, peel my shrimp. I don't want to ruin my manicure." David immediately put down his cutlery and began to peel her shrimp with his hands, with the devotion of a servant. He even dipped them in sauce and brought them to her mouth. I, sitting at the end of the table, silently watched all this. I didn't eat. I only drank water to extinguish the fire that raged within. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my bag. 3 consecutive messages from the bank. I opened them. VIP debit of $2,000 at a designer boutique. VIP debit of $15,000 at a seafood restaurant. VIP debit of $5,000 at a jewelry store. I stared dumbfounded at the figures. These were messages from the supplementary credit card I had naively given David 2 years ago for his gas expenses and business entertainment. So, this is what business entertainment was? The dress Chloe was wearing, today's lavish dinner, and another diamond necklace adorning her wrist. All paid with my money. Blood rushed to my head. Not only had they stolen my husband and my home and humiliated my mother, but they brazenly used my money to support themselves and flaunt it right under my nose. I took a screenshot and sent it to my trusted assistant with a short message. Activate Plan B. Now at the table, Chloe suddenly winced and covered her mouth. The whole table fell silent. Martha asked anxiously, "What's wrong, daughter? Is it nausea? Does your stomach hurt?" Chloe raised her tearful eyes and said in a weak voice, "The smell of seafood is very strong. It makes me sick. Mom, I want something lighter, like mushroom soup or something." Martha sharply turned to the end of the table and glared at my mother. "Linda, did you hear? My daughter is unwell from the seafood. Go to the kitchen and bring the chicken noodle soup with mushrooms you prepared this morning. Faster. Don't make my daughter wait." My mother, who was in the middle of her meal, put down her cutlery and jumped up. Yes, I'll get it now." The sight of my mother, so hurried and frightened, filled me with indescribable resentment. I stood up and followed her to the kitchen. There, a pot of chicken noodle soup with mushrooms was simmering over low heat. The aroma was delicious. These were the chickens my mother had raised with such care for a year, brought from the countryside, slaughtered and cooked by her herself. "Give it to me, Mom," I said. "No, daughter, you're wearing a dress. You might get dirty." "I can do it. It's heavy." My mother pushed my hand away and, using 2 oven mitts, lifted the enormous pot from the stove. I followed her closely, my heart pounding. I had a bad feeling. As my mother passed Chloe with the boiling pot to place it on the centerpiece stand, Chloe extended her leg. A subtle, almost imperceptible movement under the table, but I saw it. "Mom, be careful," I cried, but it was too late. My mother tripped on Chloe's leg, lost her balance, and the pot swayed. Instinctively, she tried not to fall, but her strength failed her. And then the pot of boiling broth tipped over, not onto Chloe, but backward, spilling onto my mother and splashing the floor and the expensive walnut furniture. For a second, A deathly silence reigned in the room, before a gut-wrenching scream marked the beginning of a terrible tragedy and the starting point of my bloody revenge. My mother's gut-wrenching scream resonated, shaking the luxurious atmosphere of the dining room and drowning out the quiet music and laughter. My mother collapsed onto the cold floor. The boiling chicken noodle soup, at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, poured onto her right arm and chest, soaking her thin blouse. "Mom!" I cried, losing all control and rushing to her like a madwoman. The smell of burnt skin mingled with the aroma of herbs, creating a sickening stench. My mother's arm, already wrinkled from work, was now red as a boiled lobster, and huge blisters began to form. My mother, writhing in pain, couldn't speak. She only gasped, tears streamed down her face, and her body convulsed. Any person with a minimal sense of decency would have been alarmed. But what I saw was true hell. Cruelty in its highest form. Martha, just a few steps away, instead of helping her in-law, jumped up screaming, "My God, the floor. My Italian marble floor. You old hag, do you know how much a square foot costs? The broth will stain everything. Who will pay me for this?" As she screamed, she frantically wiped the splashes from her silk dress. Her face was distorted by greed, not by compassion. David was no better. He turned to Chloe, who cowered in her chair, feigning panic, and asked tenderly, "Chloe, are you okay? Did anything splash on you? Did you get burned?" Chloe pressed her hand to her chest, gasping theatrically. "Such a fright, darling. Thank God I moved my leg in time, otherwise something could have happened to the baby." Hearing the word baby, Martha forgot everything else and rushed to stroke Chloe's stomach. "Oh, my treasure, the air is okay. My poor girl. How that old clumsy woman frightened you. Come to the sofa, you'll rest." They surrounded her, helping her up and leaving me alone with my mother in the midst of this chaos. Amidst the spilled broth, broken crockery, and unbearable pain, trembling, I hugged my mother. My tears fell on her pain-distorted face. I cried out to the housemaid, "Bring the first aid kit and saline solution." As I poured cold water on the burn, I sobbed, "Mom, I'm sorry, it's my fault. Because I'm useless. This happened to you." My mother, despite the agonizing pain, took my hand and whispered, "It's okay, daughter. Don't get mad at your husband. Don't make a scene." Her words became the last blow to my sanity. I bit my lip until it bled and called my private doctor. "Dr. Stevens, come to my penthouse immediately. Bring everything necessary for second and third-degree burns. My mother is seriously burned. I will pay you 10 times your fee." I hung up and lifted my mother in my arms. An unknown strength filled me as I passed through the living room. The scene I saw froze the blood in my veins. David was massaging Chloe's legs, while Martha fanned her, and Vanessa was live streaming. "Guys, what a horror!" The housemaid dropped the pot. "Thank God my future sister-in-law is okay." I stopped, glaring at them. I must have looked terrifying, because Vanessa abruptly ended her live stream. Without a word, I entered my bedroom, the largest and most luxurious, and slammed the door with such force that it sounded like a declaration of war. 15 minutes later, Dr. Stevens arrived. After treating and bandaging my mother's wound, he gave her a painkiller and a sedative. "It's quite a deep burn, Sarah," he said with concern. "It's good that you reacted quickly. She needs absolute rest." I thanked him. And as soon as he left, I returned to the living room. The party continued. They had cleaned up the mess and were now eating dessert, laughing as if nothing had happened. Seeing me, Martha coughed. "Are you done yet? Your mother didn't die?" "No, how exaggerated. In the countryside, they get burned with boiling water every day and treat themselves with a little fat. What a way to waste money, calling a private doctor." I didn't answer. I sat opposite them, staring intently. My mother has second-degree burns. If the wounds get infected, there's a risk of severe infection and lasting damage, possibly requiring skin grafts, I said with chilling calm. David dismissively waved his hand. "Don't exaggerate, Sarah, your mother is old. It's normal for her to take a long time to heal. Besides, it's her fault for not being careful. She ruined the party. Chloe is pregnant and almost fainted from fright. And you come here with such a mournful face. Instead of asking about her, bitter and cold. Ask about her. You want me to ask whose child she's carrying. My question was like a bomb. Chloe cowered next to David. Martha turned red with anger and slammed the table. What are you saying? You dare to doubt her honor? This child is my grandchild, the heir to this family, David's son. Since you can't have children, let another woman have them, they confessed. Unambiguously, the dirty and naked truth, David also stood up and, placing his hand on Chloe's shoulder, said, "It's true, Sarah. I was going to tell you at a more appropriate moment, but since you know, I'm an only son, I need an heir. We've lived 5 years and nothing. I can't wait anymore. Chloe is a good woman. She agreed to sacrifice her reputation to bear me a son. As a wife, you should be understanding." I looked at the man I had once loved. He was asking me to accept his mistress and raise another woman's child. And what do you want? For me to divorce so you can marry? Martha fake smiled. Divorce? What a mess with property division. No, you will remain the main wife, the legal one. Chloe just needs to be the mother of my grandson. She'll move in here so we can care for her during pregnancy. This house is huge. You, as the older sister, will have to take care of her so everything goes well. When the baby is born, he'll call you Mom. Isn't that a perfect solution? My breath caught. They wanted me to serve my husband's mistress in my own home. They wanted to turn me into their ATM. Chloe intervened with a honeyed voice. Sarah, I know it's hard for you, but I'm doing this out of love for David. I promise to be good. I won't take anything from you. Let me stay, please. I'm afraid to be alone. I looked at her innocent face and the flat stomach she kept stroking. Instead of slapping her, I smiled. With a radiant smile but an icy gaze, I stood up and walked to the 100-inch television. All right, I said softly. All three looked at me in disbelief. Are you serious? David stammered. Happy? Of course, but before welcoming a new family member, I think we should clarify some things about the finances and the origin of this child. Clarify what? Martha frowned. Worried, I connected my phone to the television. The screen lit up, showing my files. Today is the housewarming party, and I also have a special gift for the family that will astound you. I looked at the few remaining guests, who were gossiping. They were about to witness the most epic exposé in New York City high society. Please, look at the screen. I pressed the play button. A table full of numbers appeared. It was not a financial report, but a detailed expense statement for this family for 5 years. The title, in bright red, read, Audit, Who is the real owner of this house? David's face distorted. Martha's mouth was agape, stunned, and Chloe's smile disappeared, replaced by panic. Game on, I thought, pressing the button to move to the next slide. A deathly silence fell in the living room. All eyes were fixed on the television screen, where the table with its columns and figures, highlighted in red, seemed like a death sentence to my husband's family's honor. Standing by the television with the remote control in my hand, I adopted the same posture as at a shareholder meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I said in a firm voice, to avoid any misunderstandings about who supports whom in this house, I will allow myself to present with full transparency the finances of this family for the past 5 years. I pressed the button, and a pie chart appeared, 99% blue and a tiny red dot. This is the breakdown of the financing for this penthouse. The total cost is $15 million, including furniture. The blue part, corresponding to $14,970,000, came entirely from my personal account. And from the sale of my bachelor apartment, and, the tiny red part, I looked at David, who was sweating profusely, corresponds to $300, which Mr. David contributed to the purchase of the leather sofa that my mother-in-law likes so much. But, oh, surprise, that $300 was an advance from his salary at the company, which, coincidentally, I founded with 100% of my capital. Whispers spread. The businessmen present looked at David with contempt. So, he's a real gold digger. Martha, pale with rage, stood up and pointed at me. Liar. This house belongs to my son. The documents are in his name. A wife's money belongs to her husband, How calculating and petty you are. I laughed. You are mistaken, Martha. My money is my sweat, not leaves that fall from trees. And as for the documents, I pressed the button again. Property deeds appeared on the screen. As you can see, both names are listed. But most importantly, I zoomed in. This prenuptial agreement, signed by a notary before the wedding. It states that any property acquired with my personal funds will be my exclusive property in case of dispute. David signed everything. I guess he was too busy with his video games to read it. David froze. He remembered signing some papers that I had presented to him as banking formalities. He had fallen into my trap. A trap that my profession had taught me to set to protect myself. Let's continue with the monthly expenses. A long list appeared. Groceries, bills, my mother-in-law's spa treatments, my sister-in-law's designer clothes, my husband's gas, and his business dinners at nightclubs. Every month, I transfer $6,000 to a joint account. And this is how they spend it. In 5 years, I've spent over $360,000 maintaining their luxurious lifestyle. David's contribution, 0. Moreover, he often stole money from my wallet or used my credit card behind my back, as today's messages show. I turned to Chloe. Miss Chloe, do you know where that diamond necklace on you came from? She covered her neck, stammering. David gave it to me. True, a $6,000 gift. But it's my anniversary gift, stolen from my jewelry box a month ago to impress you. Doesn't your neck itch when you wear something stolen? Chloe ripped off the necklace as if it were burning and threw it at David. You give me stolen things from your wife? I thought you were rich. David, humiliated, tried to snatch the remote. Shut up, turn this off. But my bodyguards, who were already waiting outside, entered and stopped him. 2 large men prevented him from moving. Martha screamed, "Help! My daughter-in-law hired thugs to beat us up." Ignoring her, I continued. But the most interesting part is yet to come. Loan agreements with loan sharks appeared on the screen. Here's the reason why David has to steal. $6 million. Complete silence fell. This is the amount he owes to loan sharks for his online sports betting. And to get it, he forged my signature to mortgage company shares. With interest, the real debt is probably around, ditto, 80 day I have, and a comment, 87, and 1, and an ATS, 18 tast, and is 11. At, in a day word, actionly extivated note, and excited leaded, as it work, anyway. Exaplation, Uber, Davided, action, Everpoint Mon, Axton, actually 5 and Bariah, After 1 again, NST. Maber 3. It's Dr. Ver. There is remor after Fane. H-teen 7. H-teen 7. Explain. It's not make it next. Enter the stands. Enter this 12. This side. And 10 you 10. F. Maybe said 2A. Any 4 men. A and 80 and dra. And 9 do. Tell it just as everyone. It's comin' at renst as of providing the 60. Tellinity. And actually with things of explain. It's solent is addaction. Actually want it. After the rested. In an addition is take it. Was not way out of the skin. It's access to a validity way. It's sodava. Activated. It's tops and better tid. Extensis. And as replace. I. In the profession. And again. 18 this is. X is validity. And everyone. And concebited knows. Ater, actionel. It's rested. 80 is standard. Des, 80. This 545 live. It's passity. It's a batic inst of lay. I was. N. Tenber 4. Lovenet. Lucking. Add. Or wanted for them mated father them. Gram. An abster lever was. Activated. 81. At exampled. Increased den. In the recordit. And action. Adja. I have during. It's to standed from evaded. I haven't back assist. And to stand. And experience. With properest. In impant. Attentionally. Accident. And to the time doc. In description. Tick stand. Actively ray. In inzation market intinitus. 8-9. And first a videoed. Rever bedded of the rest. 2. Re-ride. And rated. It stated Mother Brain. And cruised in. It's the 16s of Vest. And Huvations. The Nother and Despennard of the Day School. Des. And it. Versen pointend it. Des dime. In Talked. It's American tacted. It's second of use this. Expland of it all. Affidit injure fiver lurgly. Effidivity. Ever. Adigling. And 4 9 million. Chloe collapsed onto the sofa. Her dream of catching a millionaire had her into a nightmare with a debtor. Martha almost fainted. 6 million. David, what have you done? David collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Mom, forgive me. Sarah, help me. Pay my debt. I promise I'll change. I looked at him with disgust. Help you? By what right do you ask me that? By the right of a cheating husband who brings his mistress home, or by the right of a son who lets his mother-in-law burn alive without lifting a finger? I looked at Chloe with a mocking smile. Here's your millionaire lover. $9 million in debt. If you want to be his wife, you'll have to share it. I concede all honor and debt to you. Chloe shook her head in horror. I have nothing to do with this. He tricked me. She tried to run, but Martha grabbed her. Don't leave. You're carrying his child. You have a responsibility. Let go of me, you old crazy women. Who would want to be a daughter-in-law in a family of swindlers, bankrupts? Chloe pushed Martha, who fell to the floor, and ran out. The scene was chaos. I, in the midst of it all, felt enormous relief. I had stripped their masks, but it wasn't over yet. Gentlemen, I said to the bodyguards, bring the cardboard boxes. We need to take out the trash. And the trash? I looked at David and Martha. That's you. The living room was a battlefield. Chloe had already fled. Martha, seeing her plan crumble, screamed, How dare you? I'll have a grandson soon. I smiled and took the microphone. One moment, Chloe, don't leave yet. Don't you want to know who the real father of your child is? Everyone froze. What nonsense are you saying? Martha screamed. I looked with pity at my foolish husband. David, have you ever been tested? I pressed the play button. A medical report appeared on the screen. Patient David Peterson. Diagnosis: secondary infertility due to substance abuse. Viable sperm percentage: 0%. This result was obtained from a sample I secretly took a month ago. According to the doctor, your ability to become a father is 0, unless you've been cuckolded. Laughter and whispers filled the room. David turned pale. It's not true. You can get tested whenever you want, but for now, ask your mistress who the father is. All eyes turned to Chloe. Pale, she confessed with mixed bitter laughter. It's not his. And what did you think? That your son is a treasure, an impotent, a loser without a dime in his pocket, and up to his ears in debt? Who did you take me for? The father of my child is a real estate mogul. I just wanted to use your last name for cover. Martha groaned and collapsed on the sofa, mourning the loss of her grandchild heir. And to be clear, I continued, here's a little video. On the screen, Chloe was kissing a bald, pot-bellied man, my main business rival. Chloe's voice was distinctly audible. Don't worry, honey. I'll fool that idiot David into believing the baby is his. As soon as I milk some money from his wife, I'll run away with you. David, seeing the betrayal, went berserk. He lunged at Chloe, grabbing her hair and slapping her. They tangled in a violent fight, rolling on the floor, while Martha joined the attack, dragging Chloe by her hair. The few remaining guests fled from this grotesque scene. I watched dispassionately. When they tired, I approached. The sound of my heels marked the end of the show. Are you done? Have you dirtied my house enough? I pointed to the door. Get out of here, right now. David on the floor, pleading. Sarah, forgive me. She tricked me. I love you. I'll change. I pushed his hand away with disgust. You're not mistaken, David. You're stupid and greedy. And my house is not a garbage bin for non-recyclable waste like you. I turned to my security guards. Remove this trash from my house in 5 minutes, and anything that isn't mine, to the curb. 5 minutes, I repeated in a steel voice. You have 5 minutes to take your personal belongings and disappear from my sight forever. Martha shrieked from the floor. Throw me out! I'm your mother-in-law. I'm in charge here. I threw a stack of documents at her feet. By what right? The deeds to this house. In my name, Sarah Peterson Volkova. The prenuptial agreement your son signed confirms he didn't invest a penny. Legally, this is my house, and you are parasites. And when the host gets tired, the parasites leave. David, his face purple, clung to my dress, begging, Sarah, please, we have history. You'll throw me out on the street with all my debts. They'll kill me. I ripped away with disgust. History? Did you think about our history when you cheated on me with my money, or when you let your mother scald mine? You don't deserve compassion. Vanessa, cowering in a corner, began to whimper. Sister-in-law, forgive me, I was foolish. Don't throw me out. I'll be good. I don't want to go back to the small town. I looked at her with contempt. Don't want to go back to the small town? Did you think about my mother's feelings when you called her a country bumpkin? You like the good life, but you're a lazy bum. This house is not a charity for parasites. I addressed the head of security. Mike, set a timer. If they don't leave in 5 minutes, use force. Yes, ma'am. Martha, seeing I was serious, ran to the bedroom. I'm leaving, but I'm taking what's mine. My clothes, my jewelry. Stop right there, I said, halting them. Who gave you permission to take anything from this house? It's mine, Martha screamed. I pulled up my bank statement on my phone. Yours? This $10,000 Hermes bag? I paid for it with my card. These pearls? I paid for them. Even the underwear you're wearing, I bought. I looked at David and Vanessa. Your clothes, your watches, your phones, all 100% paid for by me. Their faces went white. My rule is simple. You came in empty-handed. You will leave empty-handed. You won't take a single pin. You'll leave us naked on the street. Martha screamed, trying to lunge at me. Mike immobilized her. Not so cruel. In the pantry, you have old clothes you brought from your small town. Wear them. The rest stays. I'd rather burn it than let you ungrateful people use it. David, defeated, took off his Rolex and placed it on the table. Vanessa, crying, clung to her Chanel bag until the guard ripped it from her hands. My people quickly gathered all their valuables and folded them into boxes. In an instant, they were stripped of all their false status. Martha desperately fell to her knees and hugged my legs, crying, Sarah, daughter, forgive me. I'm an old fool. Don't throw me out. I have nowhere to go. I looked at her, remembering my mother writhing in pain. You're afraid to die on the street? Did you think my mother could die when you spilled the pot on her? Your tears don't move me. Save them for the lonely and miserable old age that awaits you. I broke free from her. Mike, time's up. Get them out. The guards dragged them outside amidst screams, insults, and pleas. They were pushed into the elevator. When the doors closed, I saw remorse in David's eyes. Too late. I went down to the lobby to watch the final act. My people threw them onto the sidewalk, just as the rain began. Curious neighbors gathered, pointing fingers and commenting, Look, that's the one from the penthouse. They say the daughter-in-law kicked her out for cruelty. Karma, their precious reputation, shattered to pieces. As the rain drenched them, I turned and went up to my home. The silence was absolute. I went to check on my mother, who was sleeping peacefully. Mom, I did it. They're gone. No one will hurt you anymore, I cried, but they were tears of liberation. Tomorrow would be a new day, the beginning of a new life. But first, I needed to go to court. The next morning, my mother woke up. The burn was healing well. Daughter, what about your husband, your mother-in-law? I had a nightmare. It's no longer a nightmare, Mom. They're gone forever. Now we'll live in peace. 3 days later, I learned that karma had been swift. The loan sharks found David in a cheap motel. They beat him so badly that he ended up in the hospital with a broken leg and several ribs. Without money or insurance, he was left in a public hospital hallway. The hospital called, but I refused to pay. Martha had a stroke upon learning everything. She remained bedridden with half her face paralyzed, and Vanessa, the exemplary daughter, fled with her friends, abandoning her family to their fate. I felt nothing. No joy. No pity. It was the consequence of their actions. 2 weeks later, At the divorce hearing, I walked in with my head held high. David arrived in a wheelchair, emaciated, demanding half of the penthouse, and for me to pay half of his debt. My lawyer calmly presented the prenuptial agreement and proof that the debt was exclusively his due to gambling. The judge did not delay in rendering the verdict. Divorce granted. The penthouse was mine, the debt his. And furthermore, he had to pay me $30,000 in compensation for the damages caused to my mother. The gavel strike marked the end of our story. David collapsed. 6 months later, I sold the penthouse. I bought a charming house with a sprawling garden in the countryside. A quiet place, full of flowers, my mother's true dream. I see her now, barefoot in the garden, tending her vegetables, healthy and happy. The scar on her arm is just a reminder of the storm we weathered. From the balcony, I feel immense gratitude. I realize that happiness is not in luxury, but in being the master of your own life and seeing the smiles of those you love. Women, remember this: never bet your life on anyone. A man can betray, love can fade, but the knowledge and money you earn yourself will never leave you. Be independent, self-sufficient, and strong, with money in your pocket and a cool head. You will be queens of your own kingdom. You won't have to bow to anyone. My story ends here with a happy ending for one who managed to value herself, and a very expensive lesson for those who live in malice and greed. Thank you for your attention. I hope my experience empowers those who feel trapped in unhappy marriages. Be brave, because after the storm, the sun always shines.